was the coolest thing ever.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Airguns channel. We've got another review for you today, and as you can see, it is the Umarex Notos. Everyone was kind of a little upset that we kept reviewing FX Airguns, which I thought was kind of weird. They're cool guns. They shoot really good. So we decided to do one that's a lot more affordable. We had a few complaints because FX are expensive, but you get what you pay for. They're great quality. But this one, after having shot it a little bit, played with it, I think it is a screaming deal for around 250 bucks. But we're going to go over some quick specs as usual. So the Umarex Notos is only in 22 cal. Has this small little tank, fills up to 250 bar. One of the cool features that I really like is it has just like a standard AR buffer tube. So this is the stock that it comes with, but since it's a standard buffer tube, if you've got a favorite kind of AR stock, you can throw it on here and you're good to go. But it's fully adjustable. Another benefit to having this system is it is a great beginner's gun for your kids, and I can say I will definitely be picking one up for my boy here soon, just because you can adjust that length of pull to fit them. We started shooting this one with a little Vortex Prism, which I think is a great optic for a youth shooter. It's kind of forgiving eye relief, easy to get on. You can turn on the brightness and have just a nice cool little reticle in there, but you still have that little bit of magnification to be accurate if you want to go and shoot some birds and stuff. So it has an 11.75 inch barrel. It comes with a fixed moderator. It says it has 3 baffles, and it is pretty quiet. As it sits, this setup, it says it'll get 21 like regulated consistent shots, and its specs say they'll be around 700 FPS with like a 15 grain pellet. I was shooting the 18 grain. It says it gets 21 like accurate regulated shots, but it says you can go up to 40 shots, and obviously you'll see a decrease in velocity with that as you start to drop in air pressure. But it says 40 shots per fill, which is pretty good for a gun with a tank this size. But the 21 shots with, it says it's advertised with 15 grain pellets. We're gonna test that with 18 grains, but that's not bad. That's still plenty, and it feels super easy. This being this size is a gun that you really wouldn't have to buy a big tank for. So if you don't want to spend, you know, $400 bucks for an optic and a gun, and then spend 700 bucks for a tank, you could get a hand pump, and this would be one that you wouldn't have to, you know, have a 20-minute workout to fill. So that's another benefit. So you could spend another 150 bucks on just a hand pump that would fill this pretty quick. So we'll shoot it over chrono to see if there's any decrease in that velocity, but it's still good enough velocity for small game, you know, small bird pests, maybe some chipmunks, squirrels at close range. So not exactly a long range rifle, but it was never meant to be that, so I can't complain there. The trigger has just like your normal kind of just push button safety, which is nice. One thing that makes it another benefit for the youth shooters is it comes with a single feed ramp and a 7-shot magazine. So they're both easily replaced. They have magnets on the bottom, so they just kind of snap into place. So if you're teaching a new kid how to shoot, then you can just single feed it, and it's very, very safe. You fill it with a probe up here in the front, but yeah, super simple gun. Oh, the cocking mechanism. So it has a side lever right here on the left side that is pretty smooth. It feeds really well. So one other good option for air supply for the Notos would be one of our new Air Marksman, these little tanks. So something like this, I think they're around 300 something bucks on our website, and this would fill this, I would think, quite a few times. And we'll test that. We'll go air this up and we'll fill it from this tank. So that would be another great option for, you know, let's run the numbers, like 260, maybe 200 bucks for whatever optic you're gonna run, and then 300 bucks. That's a pretty good setup to get you running and have a really good range day having this filled. We'll go see how many fills you get out of this one of our new smaller Air Marksman tanks. But that said, one of the things we're gonna do is obviously we test accuracy, and I've already zeroed it with the prism and it was good, but only 3x is kind of hard to be accurate. We're going to shoot it in our range at 35 yards. So we're going to throw an element helix on there just to have a little bit more magnification on it. And I will say, even with this optic, I'm already impressed with the accuracy. So I think this is going to be a great option, but let's run down to the range and shoot some groups with the Notos. All right, guys, we're down in the range. We threw the element helix on the Notos. I've got it zeroed. And what we're just gonna do, I'm gonna shoot a group with some 18 grain Diablos, and then I also have some Hades that are 15 grain, just to see the difference in velocity and see if there's any accuracy change. So I've got my little 7-shot mag loaded up. We're gonna start with our first group. Let's see if I can get good on target here. Probably should have picked some higher scope mounts, but it'll work. .722. Ooh, that was mean. Yes, I sent one extra just because I pulled that one. I had a weird rest, and right as I pulled the trigger, I kind of jolted, but not bad. It's not exactly a one hole group, but it's a ragged hole, so that'll work. Let's try some Hades in this mag, and I'm also gonna air up just to make sure we're fair. All right, we've got some Hades loaded up. Let's see what we can do. I'll go for the left target of the one we just shot. So high and 755. So definitely a velocity increase. So I didn't really like those as much. You could argue the group's about the same. It kind of just put it in 3 separate holes. But not terrible. Like, it's still minute of starling if you've got really anything starling sized or smaller within 35 yards. That's where I would probably want to keep it, just to keep it ethical, you know, have enough energy downrange to really knock over any of the small game that you're going for. I wouldn't go anything bigger than a squirrel, and you definitely want to try and shoot it in the side of the head, which this does have the accuracy for. You know, a squirrel's head's about that big. You could definitely whack him right in the noggin. But 753 with 15 grain pellets is definitely killing speed. So that's good for the guys that want to use this for pest control. But as far as like just a youth gun, very easy to operate. I was running the magazine, you know, you could load the magazine for your kids, make it a lot easier than, I think the single feed is good to start out with, but it does require a little bit more dexterity, which the younger kids might struggle with. But the cocking lever isn't super heavy. The younger guys might need some help with that, but still very operable, very simple. The heavier trigger, for us guys that are into the more refined rifles, you'll complain about that, but I think a heavy trigger is much safer for the younger kids, so that they're not, you know, just getting on the rifle and going, poof, you know, touching one off really easy. They kind of have to get in, and they really have to grab it and do it intentionally. So I think for a youth gun, for a starter gun, that's a plus in my book. But you're definitely going to be disappointed if you're expecting a really nice trigger like on your impacts, or you centerfire guys that are used to like trigger techs and stuff. You'll be disappointed in the trigger, but that's what happens when you buy a $200 rifle. But as a starter, fantastic rifle. So let's move these groups back real quick just to look at them closer. All right. So you got our targets. I feel like it liked the JSB, the 18 grainers, a little bit more. That was my bad. I had a weird kind of rest back here, and I pulled the trigger and jolted up there. Yeah, I would say they're honestly about the same size group now that I'm looking at them in person. With the Hades, I would probably want to hunt with those. They will expand. I'm not sure if they'll expand that hard at that velocity. That could be another video where we test, and we have some ballistics gel, so we could test that to see is there an actual advantage to running a hollow point pellet over just a dome in lower velocity pellets. But anyway, that's a tangent we can go down later. But yeah, they're basically the same group. You're getting a little bit more speed out of the 15 grainers, but definitely a killing size group. You could put that on the head of pretty much any animal inside 35 yards. So that's good. But yeah, let's go up to the studio and we'll go over our final thoughts on the Umarex Notos. All right, guys, we're back up in the studio. We're just gonna go over our final thoughts on the old Umarex Notos. So honestly, I'm surprised how it shot. I didn't have a lot of high hopes for the accuracy, and it turned out, which is a huge plus for a very, very budget-friendly rifle. I think this is one of the best options to get into for if it's your first kind of pre-charged pneumatic rifle. Generally, people think they're pretty expensive, but around 250 bucks, like there's a lot of gun for your buck in the Notos, especially with being like a great youth rifle option if you want to get your kids into shooting while also having some fun yourself. I think the Notos is a great option. A few things that I'm not a huge fan of, but you know, can't really complain too much for 200 bucks. The trigger is pretty rough. It's heavy, has some creep, feels like it has a little bit of grit in it, but it works. You're still able to be accurate, which, you know, your kid's not going to be like, Dad, why does this trigger suck? Which my kid might, but I don't know. your kids probably won't. But yeah, for the money, it's a fantastic rifle. I like that you can change out the stock. I really like that you can single feed it. It has a little single feed tray. I think that's awesome. Going back again, it's a great starter gun for kids or your kids. What else? It's quiet, very quiet. Would be a great little backyard plinker, especially being a lot lower power, and we saw that on the chronograph. But still being like, it'd still be a viable, you know, backyard inside of 35 yards. It would be a great little pest control gun if you've got, you know, starlings, really anything about that size would be, it would definitely kill it. And it has the accuracy to take headshots inside of that distance, which is fantastic. But yeah, really just depends on what optic you want to throw on it. We shot it with the Helix, which is a great option, very budget friendly, still a good bit more than the gun, but you know, can't hit what you can't see, and great glass you'll never complain about. So that's what I tell everyone. Don't skimp on glass. So don't skimp on glass on a budget gun either. But yeah, Notos is good to go. But guys, let us know what you want to see next as far as reviews go. We are going to be doing a lot more than just FX guns, so calm down in the comments. But definitely drop a comment on what you want to see next. If there's an aspect to a review that you'd like me to add to these reviews, I'm always looking for constructive criticism. But yeah, guys, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.